Please take notice.
Jonathan Mead has lived in this Colorado Springs home for 6 years now.
Under Chapter 11.
And just last month,
in further accordance with the notice procedures order,
got a letter about his house full of legal mumbo-jumbo.
Do you understand what any of that means?
Not really, no.
The letter explains Jonathan is part of a bankruptcy proceeding, a bankruptcy filed by a company called MV Realty, a company we've told you about before.
I think at the time, like when you're in that mindset of desperation and you're trying to just maintain your mortgage payment.
Mead signed MV Realty's homeowner benefit agreement, a contract that gave him a little over $1,000 up front in exchange for a promise. If he ever decided to sell his home, he would use MV Realty as his agent.
I wasn't at my highest and best and thinking clearly, and I was acting out of desperation. I needed to pay my bills. I needed to feed my animals.
It seemed like a good deal at the time, until he realized he was locked into a 40-year agreement.
And then I saw your story on 9 News, and I was like, wait a minute.
Mead is one of 900 Colorado homeowners we found who signed on with MV Realty. We found them because MV Realty files documentation about those contracts with county clerks, telling anyone looking at the property that MV Realty will receive 3% of the home's value if that property ever sells. And even if a homeowner dies, their heirs are still bound by that agreement.
I feel like I got taken advantage of, and I'm not alone in that.
Colorado legislators banned these types of contracts earlier this year, and MV Realty faces lawsuits in 7 states, with attorneys general calling these agreements predatory.
This isn't right. This is fraudulent. It's predatory.
And now, bankrupt.
And I got the notice in the mail for the bankruptcy filing, and I thought, well, maybe this is a way for me to void this contract.
In early November, MV Realty filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, a petition to try to keep the company alive while it reorganizes. In that filing, MV Realty lists about 750 active agreements with Colorado homeowners as assets, since they're guaranteed at least 3% commission if a home sells.
My first reaction was like, hallelujah, this fraudulent company is going to be held accountable by the United States of America.
Bankruptcy courts and equity relief is a really complicated topic.
Conrad Cicatello is the director of DU's School of Finance. He says these letters are really meant for anyone who is owed money from MV Realty, not for people who are considered an asset.
I've looked at a lot of different kind of consumer finance issues in my career, and this one is very novel.
Mead contacted MV Realty on his own, hoping this bankruptcy might just get them to tear up his agreement. They told him no. Quote, the bankruptcy filing does not have any immediate impact on your agreement with MV.
Still a contract, is still valid, it still stands.
It is a sticky wicket.
Cicatello says the bankruptcy likely won't get anyone out of their agreement with MV Realty. What might, he says, is one of those lawsuits in another state, especially if it finds that contract null and void. His best advice, give it time.
If you can wait, I think that's probably the best solution.
Late last month, the bankruptcy court extended a deadline for creditors and debtors to file claims in MV Realty's bankruptcy case and ordered MV Realty to mail another round of notices to thousands of people around the country who have contracts with MV and to people who paid damages to break those contracts with MV at some point. A hearing in that case is scheduled for February. That's good news for some people we've talked to throughout this who have already kind of sorted this all out. They've already sold their home. They've run into this issue with MV Realty that they might have the ability to make some kind of claim. But Conrad Cicatello with DU says, really, you gotta, if you're trying to get out of these contracts, you're likely gonna have to wait till after the bankruptcy court is done and some of these other courts start sorting through some of these cases.
That's the problem. Those take so long.
Yeah, this is a long, contract this thick with a lot of legalese in it and a long amount of time in courts, when basically what you want to find is what's right.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It seems like justice to most everyone.
Yeah.
Probably is a simpler target than a lot of this.
Absolutely. You think a lot of these people have been through so much, they just want some sort of resolution.
Well, I know you're going to share more of their stories, so thank you. Thanks, Steve.